Today I'm going to review a pretty new pattern that came out in the spring. This is the McCall's 8370. This is a suit. It has a Mrs. jacket with A, B, C, D cup sizes, as well as a really cute skirt that has sort of a little thigh slit. I bought this, I guess, in May, and just pulled it out over the weekend to actually make it. Um, I did make a few pattern adjustments. So I just made the jacket. Um, this fabric is a cotton jacquard from Core Fabrics that I've had in my closet for maybe a year and just hadn't decided what to do with it. And the fabric was really thick, almost probably too thick to try to get a dart in it. So I think I'm going to end up making either a skirt with princess seams or, um, maybe just something with a few less uh, darts and design lines in it. So we'll see. So my pattern adjustments, I'm usually a size 16 in the big four pattern companies. I do use my high bust measurement, which is a 38, and and then I add a full bust adjustment. But for this pattern, I did the Palmer and Pletch tissue fitting method, which is where you mark your seam allowances, you add tape, which you can sort of see that there's tape along the seam allowances, and then you actually pin the tissue together and fit it. So I did that at first, and I started with the size 18 just because I wanted a little extra room since this is a jacket. I wanted some extra room in the back and especially in the arms for wearing this over other garments. So I started with the 18. It fit, but not quite how I wanted it to. So I did add a full bust adjustment of 1.25 inches. And you can see that I added that to the princess seam front and, or I'm sorry, the side front and the front. Um, Went pretty easily, I think. So this is the pattern that I started with. Again, this is 18D cup, and I added 1.25 inches. It did fit, but it didn't fit well enough. So I went ahead and added the full bust adjustment. I also did a full bicep adjustment on the sleeve pattern. I believe the size 18 on this was about a 15-inch bicep, 15.25. Yeah, 15 inches. And I prefer just a little bit more ease, so I added about an inch of a full bicep adjustment so that I would have about 16 inches in the bicep. I just prefer this. I don't really like sleeves that are too tight or sleeves that are tight in the bicep and then sort of catch on that part of the body and cause the entire jacket to be snug across the back. So I typically add a full bicep adjustment unless it's a cashmerette pattern, in which case I just use the full bicep version. So those are my only pattern adjustments. It's a pretty simple pattern. You've got 4 pieces. You've got the front, the side front, the back, and the side back, which is somewhere in the envelope. So you've got the 4 actual bodice pieces plus a sleeve, 5 pieces total. Pretty easy jacket. No collar, no lapel. Um, there is a patch pocket. I decided not to use it. And a one-piece sleeve, which is pretty simple. So as I mentioned before, this is a cotton jacquard, which I just fell in love with. It's navy, orange, black, gray, and purple. And I just love the fabric. It's beautiful. It did fray a lot, so I'm really glad that this is lined. I almost considered serging it before I lined it because it frayed a great deal. I also decided, why be extra when you can be extra extra? So I had this beautiful purple sort of lace trim from Mood Fabrics. I had it in 2 different widths and styles. And so I layered it on top of each other. And then I had these gray leather strips from a purse actually. It came with a Rebecca Minkoff purse that I got a few years ago. And so I added those on top and then stitched all of it down to add a front trim. This calls for sort of the grosgrain ribbon across the jacket and then with fringe. And I didn't really want to do that. So I added just enough to where it's not too overwhelming. And then the lining is a green linen. So this is a cotton outer fabric. I did not want to line this with a polyester or a rayon lining, so I put green linen in it. And I also changed the construction just a little bit. I did not attach the lining as the instructions recommend. They recommend you basically do the body and then you do the sleeve and then you attach the sleeve and then you attach the lining. I did a bagged lining following the grain line bagged lining tutorial for jackets, and yes, it does work even if you don't have a facing for your jacket. There is a Threads article that says that you can't bag a lining without facings, and that's not true. So I will put the link for that tutorial down below so that you can easily find that. Yeah, and I will have a picture of this actually on at the end of the video, but I absolutely love the jacket, and I'm really pleased with my directional print matching as well. So everything lines up really well. You can see in the back that the um, seam lines are here, but it's very hard to see them. And so I am particularly proud of the back. I think a lot of people get hung up on matching patterns or matching plaids or, all of that good stuff. And this is something that I don't know, maybe I'm a little, what's the word, cavalier with this step, but I've tended to just go for it. I line everything up. I make sure, my center front and center back pieces are lined up. And then I make sure there's a particular spot on the pattern that falls on the same place as the pattern on the fabric, and have never had trouble print matching. So I think I just have really good, well, I think I have exceptionally good luck with matching patterns. And the sleeve doesn't look too bad either. So I'm really pleased with that. And I'm really pleased that I can get some wear out of this, even though it's been really, really warm. This will be a great fall and early spring jacket. For next time, I might narrow this sleeve a little bit. I did cut the lining, I guess, about an inch shorter so that we had a nice roll here. But I may actually narrow this sleeve down to the wrist because it is, you can kind of see, there is a lot of room here and I don't know that I need it. So sometimes I have to do like forearm adjustments in patterns because sometimes they can be snug around like a, kind of a toned forearm. But this one actually ended up being really big. So I might narrow this for next time, but I really like the full bicep adjustment. So I'll just have to see how this wears. It's nice and sturdy. It really holds the shape well. And my full bust adjustment looks great. So I would strongly recommend this pattern. Again, I did not attach the lining the way that they recommend here. I sort of assembled this without looking at the instructions, and we'll probably do that next time. I'm really curious about the skirt too, just because it's super cute. And the nice thing about this jacket too is it really only requires, let's see, for my size 60-inch fabric, it only required 1.75 yards of fabric. And even up to size 24, it's under 2 yards of fabric, which is, I think, pretty cool for a jacket. And I did construct it over, a couple sewing sessions, but you could totally finish this in a handful of hours. It took me a lot of time to decide on the trim and then to layer it and then, get out a leather needle and measure and place it and all of those things. But if I make this again without any embellishment, I would say it can come together in about 3 hours easy. So yeah, that's McCall's 8370. I'd love to know if you've made this pattern. Please feel free to comment below and let me know what types of adjustments or embellishments you've added to it, if you've made that really cute skirt. Um, but yeah, this is definitely a keeper. It's I haven't found a really great like jacket pattern in a long time that um, isn't too large. That's sort of another thing. This sort of, here's the waistline here. And so this does not swallow me. I'm 5'5" and pretty high waisted, shorter torso. And so I love that it's sort of a cropped feel on me without feeling ridiculously cropped. So this is definitely a keeper. I'm going to make this a few more times, and I think you can easily make it with pants, and you can make it with the skirt, and you can sort of mix and match it, and have a lot of nice suiting options for spring and fall, and probably even winter. You can do this with tweed and boucle and wool blends. I think you could probably also do a heavyweight linen or heavier, maybe a stiffer weight silk would be really nice in this as well. It would just make those princess seams really hold their shape. So I think this is a great pattern, and the fact that they included all of the cup sizes is great as well. It's very inclusive, and it does go up to a size 24 or a 51-inch bust and a 40-inch waist, 51.5-inch hip. So yeah, well done, McCall's. And then I added my Modern Seamstress label. Yeah, I'm really excited to wear this. So definitely comment if you've made this before, if you've made the skirt, how you've worn it, how you've paired it, how you've embellished it. I'd love to know. Hope everyone has a great Monday. Bye.